Welcome to the Music for the Soul podcast, where we talk honestly about difficult things. This is a place where music, hope, and healing come together. I'm Becky Nordquist.
And I'm Steve Seiler. Boy, do we have a treat for you folks today. We have never had a choreographer on the show before. So I'm really excited to talk to Tara Young today. Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
It's our pleasure.
It is so great to have you on. This will be a breath of fresh air for our artists who also like to move.
Yeah, speaking of like to move, you may remember if you caught our program about 6 months ago, we talked to Mary Bodden, who is the founder of Dance Awareness. And she had asked me to write a theme song for her organization. And since my daughter was a ballerina and both of my granddaughters also have tutus, this was a pretty easy assignment. All I had to do was kind of picture them and the kind of world that I want for them with healthy dance. And so I wrote a song called She Loves to Move, a duet, a mom and dad just celebrating that their daughter loved to dance. And then Mary decided she would have a dance contest, basically open it up to, what would you call them, dance companies, basically open it up to dance companies all around the country to do original choreography. And I think she had 41 submissions, if I'm not mistaken. I got to see a lot of them, and it was all a blessing to see, people moving to the song. But there's one that just absolutely took my breath away. And we're speaking to that choreographer today. So we're going to give you in the show notes the YouTube link so you can go and check out the Wings to Fly choreography for She Loves to Move. Now, Tara, you have a fascinating story. So before we get started, can you just tell our listeners a little about your background?
Well, I originally left high school to work on Princess Cruises as a dancer, entertainer. And I did that through about 4 years or so. And then I got off the ship in Singapore and I flew to Japan, and I stayed there for approximately 6 years, traveling through the Orient in Japan and India, back to Canada. So extensive traveling and studying yoga, different types of alternative forms of healing, may I say. And then ended up back in California I can't recall actually the year that I went back to California, but I was there for approximately 2 years. I followed the path of Watsu, which is an aquatic therapy modality. So I extended my massage career into that. After Los Angeles, I came to Florida. And from there, we have extended into the Wings to Fly Dance Company.
Well, before we move on from Watsu, what is that? I've never heard of that.
Well, originally I was a licensed massage therapist, as I am now. And I wanted to extend the person's ability to move into the water aspect. So I started studying how to float someone and create movement that was in a 3-dimensional element, so they could move freely, and we would work under the water and above the water. I continued my studies as to be a physical therapy assistant and worked at the hospital for 18 years, of which I offered Watsu and did the program there at the aquatic therapy facility. I also specialize in myofascial release, which is a form of manual therapy where you hold sustained pressure on the skin as to release the tissue. And certain pain bodies and things that are held can be released. So a lot of my studies are about how can we facilitate more movement? How can we move deeper into the soul to heal through these different modalities rather than taking pills?
Yes.
Yeah.
Or as my dad always referred to them, pharmaceutical products.
Pharmaceuticals.
Said with as much of disdain as possible.
Yes.
The man would not even take a Tylenol, I'll tell you what.
So did you work with both able-bodied and those who couldn't, that had trouble ambulating, or?
Well, throughout this whole time, I was an assistant supervisor at the Arc of St. Lucie, as my mom was the supervisor, and we ran an adult day training program for people with disabilities and varying mobility issues. So from there, I had always gone through working with people with disabilities with the dance company, which I volunteered and just offered services through the community, and trying to find the dancer that's home that wants to be a dancer and doesn't know there's an opportunity to. My career slowly moved into neuro. So I specialized in neurological disorders such as stroke, spinal cord injury, Parkinson's. these types of things that I was interested in. How can you use the gait trainer to suspend someone for walking, and electrical stimulation to activate muscles to help them walk better, these types of things. About 2 years ago, I left the hospital and have been working on my own as a massage therapist. I believe in my hands, and insurance and modalities and what I can and can't do doesn't always resonate with my healing hands. So until about 10 months ago, have been working as a massage therapist.
Well, if I ever
So
get down to your way, I'm coming knocking on your door because
the
I,
door's open.
oh my goodness. Well, I had a massage. My first massage, I didn't understand what was happening because I reached a certain point and I just started to sob. And they're like, "That's okay. That's normal." I'm like, "What? I don't even know why I'm crying." And they're like, "No, this happens frequently. You have this emotional release." What can you explain that for me? Because they never really explained it. I'm just curious.
Well, sometimes the emotion is right at the surface, but if you go a little bit deeper, it can definitely correlate to tissue releasing. So there's emotions that are held within the tissues. So that memory comes out
Wow.
and you have an emotion. It could be
Incredible. That is so incredible.
there's trauma held within the body. There's
Well,
a
I
beautiful
definitely
book
have that.
by Peter Levine that says Waking the Tiger. And it speaks about really looking at the trauma, whether it be a happy or an emotional. Sometimes we don't know where it's coming from, but it's about keeping that open gateway to release it and that safe place to know that you can.
I love that. And at that time of my life, your words could not be truer, for sure. So, the She Loves to Move routine is just breathtaking.
Thank you.
I have watched it multiple times and my heart was just so full. What inspired that routine?
Well, we've been working with people with wheelchairs for numerous years. And I had a dancer named Jordan Rashong Brown who passed away the day after Christmas at 16 years old. And she had a sister that had died at birth. And I had another friend who had a young girl with cerebral palsy who was 7 years old. And she also lost her sister at birth. And I wanted to do a tribute to Jordan for her parents to say she's still dancing in heaven. And it's the two angels are really the sisters coming to meet in heaven. And we have utilized this opportunity for not just 1, 2, 3, but over 10 dancers in wheelchairs to have this experience, and numerous repertoire within our Wings to Fly. You know, we give out tissues now when you come to our show.
I can imagine. I need
on
one
your
right
way
now
in,
already.
because it's an emotional, we don't want you to just watch a show. We want you to be part of our show. We want to share with you through the act of healing and raise consciousness with what we do. So I had further extended my desire to get people to move more and created a harness system. So the person could sit on my lap, get strapped in, and I could stand up and she could use my legs to dance on stage. And she actually pushes her wheelchair off stage herself. So it's a huge passion of mine. I continue, I make wings now. Since I've been injured since last January, I find the arts and music, nature, writing are the best sources of my healing. And it doesn't cost as much.
Right.
Except for when I go to John Fabrics for my supplies.
Right? Oh my goodness. Oh yeah, you can certainly spend money on supplies. I know that. Oh golly,
Yeah.
guilty.
Piece of choreography is treasured in our hearts as well. And we're just really dearly touched that it touched you. And I still can't figure out why we can't get that at the right before the Rockettes and the Macy's Day Parade. Why isn't there anyone in a wheelchair? We know how to put a classy performance that isn't highlighting them, it's just giving them an opportunity. So why not
What a
throw
lovely idea.
that out to the stores?
I wanted to let you know I've kind of made a commitment to get this piece viewed by everybody that I know. And the 100 or so people that I have already shared it with, the resounding response is one of, well, beautiful. I hear beautiful a lot. I hear wow a lot. Some people have expressed that it's joyful for them. So, I mean, all of the comments have been, absolutely stunning is one that I heard just a couple of days ago. So I feel like what you just shared about getting a broader stage for what you're doing, I think that's totally within reach.
Mhm.
It's something we'll certainly join you in prayer for, but I trust that that's going to happen. Sometimes we want to make stuff happen. I've found that sometimes God is on our plan, but usually about 99% of the time it's the other way around.
Not on our
So
timing always.
Yeah, I was just gonna say not the timing, right? So
exactly. So
true.
And that's okay.
So
This
well,
I
injury has taught me a lot about waiting and being still and really having to heal. And when you have a traumatic brain injury, it's very different than putting your foot up to rest. It's you have to rest your brain, and thinking is an exercise and it's constant. So how do you stop that? And it's been really a gift too, in an odd way.
so this is an injury that you had recently?
Yes, about a year ago.
Okay. Well, you've kind of expressed one goal for Wings to Fly group, but how would you describe the mission of Wings to Fly?
Wings to Fly is there to provide opportunities for all. An integrated dance company for people with and without disabilities. And we aim to touch as many people as we can, nationally, internationally. If this brings so much joy to one studio, let's
Mhm.
share that magic. So our
Mm.
mission is to provide opportunities for all to dance. When we do a Wings to Fly performance, I swear it feels like the whole roof of the auditorium comes off, and there's an orb of energy of light filled with angels and angelic energy that helps transformation occur. And when I'm on stage, especially with the harnessing, and I'm utilizing my legs for someone else to be able to be out of their wheelchair, it's not me that's holding them up, it's the angels. I swear I feel that I'm being suspended as I do that. So it's a blessing and a gift.
Mm.
Well, I can see right away, of course, the inclusion aspect is a wonderful blessing for the wheelchair bound. But talk a little bit about, if you will, what the able bodied dancers get from this. What do you hear from them?
It's the best class of the week. They can't wait until Friday because we get to go to class. How can we support someone else who can't do something themselves?
Mm.
It brings a healing aspect that a lot of these kids are growing up and they are broken inside, but they look fine.
Yes.
And they have to operate at a certain standard to keep up. The self destructive behavior, the anxiety ridden kids that can't quite get out of that because they're constantly battered, it's a way out. Dance is a way to express it. When there's someone who can't figure something out, whether it's a Down syndrome adult or a very clear girl in a wheelchair that she's running to get a sippy cup so she can drink water, or the simplest of things, you come for that hour and a half of inclusion in our rehearsals in that class, and there's magic everywhere because of that. Someone's taking someone else under their wing everywhere you look, and
Yeah.
you can't write it. I say to my mom, because God bless her, she's 78 years old and she's my muse, my mentor, and my sister Tasha Patterson Shirley, who also co-choreographed She Loves to Move with me. And I said, Mom, you can't write this. You just have to show up.
Yes.
you know,
Showing up. I love that. That's a common thing that we talk about is showing up. And as you're talking, I'm remembering that when I started in equine therapy, I was just coming out of a severe clinical depression and I was suicidal. And that was the first thing I did. And what you're describing is for the able bodied kids that maybe are struggling with the anxiety or depression piece, this helps them to take someone else under their wing and they can actually be other centered, which actually is extremely healing and
Mhm.
beautiful. I remember being in the darkest place and I was learning how to what they call sidewalk. And it's essentially you are keeping that person on the back of a horse. You're helping them to gain balance and movement. And so you're thinking about them. And it's so amazing how so often you're the one that needed the therapy. I mean, that's where I found myself. I needed the therapy and I was healed in ways too. And that's just beautiful. I love that picture and the visualization of that class in my mind, knowing, what the dance ended up being. I just can imagine how beautiful that is to observe and witness.
I
So,
loved when you said dance is a way out,
mm,
because I do feel like not just the young people, but all of us are carrying hurtful things,
mhm,
and all of us have places where we're stuck. And the idea of motion, I think most of us go through the motions every day, but they're very typical motions. We don't express so much as we just check off the boxes. Now I'm going to walk the dog. Now I'm going to wash the dishes. And there can be blessing in that kind of stuff too. But the idea of movement and creativity bound together
mm,
is what is exciting to me. So as you work with these folks from a perspective of choreography, are you looking for some movements that they're making on their own and incorporating those? Or is it instructive or some combination of both?
Well, I think bound together is a good way to start that, because that is really about the connectiveness that of the people that arrive at the studio. And when someone's in a wheelchair and they can't move themselves, it's clear that someone has to move them.
Mhm.
But being behind the wheelchair and pushing the wheelchair, they have no idea who they're dancing with. When they
mhm,
go to the side of the chair and they look at the person and get eye contact, and then they go together, this is where the healing happens. This is
mm,
where the magic occurs. It's through the connection. A lot of dancers really are about looking in the mirror and how can I get it better? And how can I get my leg higher?
mm,
And when a girl comes into the studio who's in a wheelchair, Alex, for instance, with
Mhm.
cerebral palsy, and she can only really move her arms, but you see her spirit dancing,
Mhm.
then you're just an extension of her spirit to do what she can't do for herself.
mm,
But I sit in front of them and I sit on the floor and I say, how are you doing? Where are you at? What
mm,
would you like to express?
Mhm.
And I had one girl after COVID saying, I'm angry. I can't get out. I can't do anything. Look at me. I've been at home. And now I asked her last Friday or the week before, I'm happy now. I want to dance about peace
mm.
because I'm now at peace. So it's not just dancing with the body, it's dancing with the soul. I think maybe that's where the younger kids, when they come in, they don't really get a lot of opportunity, even in regular studios. You go in, you dance. It's a soul connection that happens. And it's an amazing, priceless gift to be part of. And I pray that there's many other places that could offer these types of classes to see what happens.
Well, hopefully, as others watch the video, perhaps there will be studio owners and dance teachers all over that will say, "We need this for our community. We need this for our kids and the people in our community because we'll be blessed and richer for it." And I just have to say, there is such a healing way about you, just
Thank
experiencing
you.
you as I sit here and you just have a soul that kind of just breathes out healing. And I'm so grateful for
Thank
that
you.
because, I mean, you're facing your own things, and here you are pouring out into others who need healing. We often talk about the wounded healer or the broken to bless, and you are certainly walking out that mission. And so I have maybe a technical question, maybe, but when you're listening to a piece of music that you're going to choreograph, what is the process that you use for selecting the movements that will go with music? Are you influenced more by lyric? Are you influenced more by the song itself or music? What do you go off of when you go to create a routine?
First of all, I'll keep on the line with Alex in the piece that she wanted to dance in correlation to that. What is the energy that you want? Is it anger? Is it joy? What is the feeling of the song that you want? It can come
Mm,
from that. And the
mhm,
movements. How do you make extensions to be able for them to move? So in that piece, I created a black piece of material that you put in the back of the wheelchair so we could spin her from the material and confine her with the material. And at the end, she breaks free out of that. And I made these huge gold wings that open. So she felt like she was flying. As far as coming into the studio, you can't prepare. Sometimes we'll have wheelchairs there if the wheel dancer isn't there, or we'll have a separate rehearsal, but it still isn't the same with being able, how far does the arm move up? Little Scarlett, I want her left arm moving more. So how do you push the chair? How do you turn the chair? I'm always trying to excel. Karen Peterson in Miami does some beautiful work, and she's a constant inspiration as well with what she brings with integrated dance and people with spinal cord injuries and people sitting on chairs. And it's beautiful to see. So the movement comes from the connection. Again, you see the one dancer go off and choreograph and do their thing, and the girl in the wheelchair is still sitting.
So is it more, would you say, emotion driven then?
I'd say it's divine.
Mm.
I don't know how to answer that.
Mm.
We don't know where it comes from. It's divine. It's an entity of its own. We show up and it really, sometimes it choreographs itself.
Wow.
My mother at 78 years old ran class last Friday, and she's just a trip. She's going to do a nursing home show, and we are all going to go. And she's just a driving force within our company. And she still dances with them. She's out there too.
Love it.
So, yeah.
You know, I'm hearing as you share about how things just, you don't know where they come from. It's divine. I can tell you that in the process of both songwriting and also of song recording, there are moments like that where you get all the musicians together and there's this alchemy that takes place, and suddenly it's bigger than the sum of its parts, and it's like, where did that come from?
Right.
And there, obviously, as musicians, there is movement. We're playing and we're thinking, and all that's happening, and we're bouncing off each other, and we're bound together. So certainly there's a choreography, if you will, to the recording process. And as a songwriter, I can't tell you how many times I will be in the process of writing a song, and at the end of the session, I'll look down and have that sense of, where did that come from? You know, I wasn't thinking about that, and I don't know. I mean, I know at the end of the day, you know, my name is on it and everything, but I definitely feel like there is a partnership with the divine in all creative process. And that might sound a little woo-wooey to people, but just as somebody who has experienced it thousands of times, I just know that's true for writers. I suspect it's true for artists and dancers and all the creative arts.
True. One of the first pieces that I choreographed with Casey, who I stood up with the harness, we finished the show, and my brother-in-law, Paul Shirley, had a little camera that he had taken the video. So on the way home, everyone was excited and we all met. And my sister said it was fabulous. It was absolutely beautiful. But I put the video to this song, and it ended up being a masterpiece. So we changed the music after the whole piece was choreographed to something else. So the creative process can go anywhere.
Well, you mentioned the goal of having the dancers march in the parade. What other goals do you have? I'm sure that there's some things you're trying to achieve with the company and some dreams that you have. Share some of those.
Well, some of the goals that we have right now are actually very, may I say, mundane. We were provided a certain space for Wings to Fly Dance Company, and an in-kind donation, which was wonderful because we all have to volunteer and to provide that for the community. And the studio became very moldy. So we have been homeless, and now we're paying for a studio rental and just navigating our way through our next step to provide these educational opportunities and things in the continuation of our performing professional company. So the goal for that is to really find a home for Wings to Fly, and to make that home that we have a place that is in a neutral geographical region here that people can get to and grow within our own home rather than being in other people's. So that's one of the fundamental things that we're working on right now.
Ideally, where would that location be? May I ask that?
We're down here in Jensen Beach. So that's about 45 minutes north of West Palm Beach. Some of the other goals that I would say I would have would to be heal to dance again.
Mm.
I've I've tried a couple of times to go back to dancing and I end up having to observe and that's okay. I'm doing a little bit more as I go.
Mm.
But the healing process requires patience. So
Yeah.
that's one of my main goals right now that I would say outside of the work, outside of anything else, and really is my primary focus at this time.
Healing requires patience.
Mm.
How many of you out there needed to hear that today? As we rush to try and change things and try and force things. Absolutely.
When I worked in physical therapy at Cleveland Clinic for over 18 years, a lot of my post-op patients would say, how much longer? When is it going to get better? Is it going to get fully better? And I'd say, it's only been 12 weeks, or it's only been 6 weeks, or it's only been 6 months. Time is almost suspended in the healing process that you really have to listen to your body. And if it requires the rest, you just need to take the rest. And if it requires you to get up and exercise and bike that total knee and get that range of motion back, but it's really about listening to your body and what your needs are at that time.
Those are some true words. And yes, I just love that because you're also dealing with varying bodies. I mean, some people heal faster, age is a factor, pre existing health conditions, all kinds of things, the extensivity of a wound or an injury. Those are all things. But, I just keep going these words be still and know that I am God. And I'm like, in some of the most impatient of places, just being still and breathing is what is necessary in the moment to heal. And I love your encouragement to really listen to your body. We're so intricately created that it gives us signals all the time, but sometimes the world's too loud and we're too busy and we're not listening
Right.
to what our body's trying to tell us. So thank you for that encouragement. Really, really appreciate that.
Wrote a song recently with a couple of friends called Right Now. And I guess you could say it's a song about mindfulness, but the lyric is literally feel the breath that I'm taking, feel my feet on the floor. I am here right now. Just being present in our bodies. And I think, Beck, you talk about how noisy it is and how busy we are. We aren't even at home in our own bodies a lot of the time because we're so busy going and doing and, serving all these competing interests without taking time to listen to what's going on internally, physically. And clearly the mental and the physical are all tied together.
Absolutely. I had a patient come to me at one point when I was doing myofascial release, very advanced work that required a lot of mindfulness. And disassociation from the body is being able to kind of exit out of your body so you don't have to feel. You don't have to be in there to process or feel or move or think. And she said, do you mind if I just run with the wild horses today? I don't want to be in here. I said,
Mm,
that's okay. I'll just do the mechanical work and your mind can go. And I came home and it was the first time I sat at the piano and wrote a song. And I think the only time I've really written a song on the piano with vocals. And it's about that, being able to consciously leave your body so you can protect yourself because it's just too much. But that's where the true vulnerability of healing is when you have to really go to the places that you don't want to go or that you don't want to see. It's not that scary once you see it, and that fear will bind you. And
Mm.
so, opening your story or being vulnerable to what's going on and understanding if you are not in your body and you're not listening, step back in because disassociation is it's not a place that you can heal because you're outside the body.
Mm.
right.
Very
We
true.
hear a lot about that in working with abuse survivors through our music. That's a term that comes up a lot.
Yes.
Well, I know that people are going to want to know how to get in touch with you if they want to have some of this kind of dance and you, as you put it, magic incorporated into the work that they're doing. So, what's the best way for people to get in contact with you?
Yes, if you'd like to contact me at Tara Watsu, TARAWATSU @gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you and love to know your story.
Mm, thank you so much for being with us today. You are
Thank
just a
you.
delightful soul, and you spoke some absolutely beautiful, necessary healing words to us and to our listeners today. And I
Thank
just
you.
wish you all the best and blessings as you continue on your healing journey as well. And
Thank
the
you.
work, the work that you're doing, just so grateful for how you're pouring into the world.
Thank you so much.
If you enjoyed the discussion today, please share it with a friend and give us a positive review on iTunes.
And please visit our website, musicforthesoul.org, where you can stream or download every song in our catalog, including She Loves to Move. Read our lyrics, our healing music guide, our blog posts, and much more. Please remember to check the show notes for a link to the video about the dance routine that we were speaking about today. Thank you for listening. God bless.
From the moment she could walk, she began to dance. Up on her toes she would prance through the room, spinning and twirling to her own made-up tune. A tiny ballerina. Oh, if you could have seen her, you'd have known right then dance was the language she was born to speak. She loves to move, poetry in motion, like waves on the ocean, like a bird in the sky. With each step and each pirouette, the joy in her heart comes alive. She's like a flower in bloom. She loves to move.
It's a passion in her soul, a rhythm true and deep. Something inside her she needs to express. The music begins and her spirit says yes. The air becomes her canvas. What a picture she paints as she dances. We are blessed to see the gift she's been given. This was meant to be. She loves to move, poetry in motion, like waves on the ocean, like a bird in the sky. With each step and each pirouette, the joy in her heart comes alive. She's like a flower in bloom. She loves to move.
Of pure magic, tripping the light, fantastic, so beautiful, with grace overflowing. She was made for this. She loves to move, poetry in motion, like waves on the ocean, like a bird in the sky. With each step and each pirouette, the joy in her heart comes alive. She's like a flower in bloom. She loves to move. She's like a flower in bloom. She loves to move.